I'm Will Lockamy.
And I'm Reed Lockamy.
Welcome to the Iron Bowl Hour.
Or as we like to call it, the show that honestly was having a hard time coming up with a joke for this line, so I'm just going to say the name, John L. Smith.
On tonight's show, which word sounds less ridiculous, Bodagetta or Weagle?
War Eagle.
Fumble on the play recovered by Strombolopolis.
That sounded delicious.
Is that
actually,
a Sesame Street character?
I think that's a beef dish. Well, Will, it's time for Agree to Disagree.
It is, Reed. Each week we're going to take a look at the big topics that face Alabama and Auburn in college football in general, and then we have to disagree about them.
Well, this is going to be easy for me, Will, because you are always wrong, so all I have to do is act naturally.
Easy for me to disagree with that. Nick Saban made headlines last week by berating the media for not giving teams like Western Kentucky enough respect. Was he right? Do these teams deserve more respect?
Do these teams deserve more respect?
That's
is the
right.
question,
Yep.
and of course the answer is no. That's ridiculous. Let's take, for example, Western Kentucky.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Well, do you know what the mascot for Western Kentucky is?
I have no idea.
This is a team that came into Tuscaloosa and,
Yep.
of course, lost 35-0, really on sort of a mediocre performance by Alabama, and still lost 35-0 or nothing. And their mascot, I'm not kidding you, because I talked to a Western Kentucky fan Saturday morning in Tuscaloosa, is what, as far as I can tell, is like a meat wad. It's like a meat wad.
What?
I'm not. Look it up. Look it up. On
A
their helmet,
meat wad?
on their helmet, they have a guy like carrying a flag, right?
Isn't that what you call a kid in kindergarten that you don't like, a meat wad?
No, it's what you call a character from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and that is what their mascot is. These are not teams we should respect.
Okay, Reed, you forget Western Kentucky and their meat wad
It's going to be
mascot.
hard to, because you should see that image. Yeah.
Let's think of teams like Louisiana Monroe,
Okay.
right? Who just beat the number 8 team in the country, Arkansas. 2007, they came into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. These teams have to be taken seriously. Last year, Utah State, Reed, comes into Jordan-Hare Stadium and almost beats Auburn. They have to have an onside kick right at the end to survive. Teams like this have to be respected on some level. I understand that most of the time they're going to lose, but Nick Saban, while I didn't really like him yelling at the media like that, he had a good point. You have to respect these teams because you never know what they can do, and if your team doesn't respect them, that's when you lose those games.
Well, as usual, Will, you are completely wrong about this. You're on to something. There's a team here who does or does not deserve respect, but the teams who don't deserve respect are Arkansas in this case. Last year's Auburn team, who almost lost to Utah State, it's not about Utah State deserving more respect, it's that no one should have respected Auburn. Alabama in 2007, when they lost to La Monroe, that's a team that was not deserving of respect, the Alabama team, right? So coaches like to say, oh, you got to give these kids more respect on these other teams. It's really, that's just, they're just trying to give themselves some sort of excuse in advance in case they were to slip up and lose the game like Arkansas did.
I think that's going to be hard to convince people after watching what Louisiana Monroe did. Hey, good news though. Next week we can figure out who was right here after Auburn plays Louisiana Monroe this Saturday.
Hey, here's the thing. I think Auburn's going to win that game this weekend, and that is going to prove Louisiana Monroe does not deserve any respect. Trust me, if Auburn can beat you right now, then you deserve no respect whatsoever.
Can you imagine how embarrassing it is to pay a team that much to come to your home stadium and then, get beat?
That is definitely not something that's going to clear the registrar's office. That's a problem.
Poor John L.
Yeah. Ugh. Will the real Gene Chizik please stand up? Who is he? The 5-19 coach deserving of airport boos, or the national championship coach from 2010?
You know, I'm not sure there's a clear answer here for me, at least, but I know for the sake of this segment, I'll go ahead and pick one. I'm going to say he's the championship coach of 2010, Reed. A lot goes into winning a championship. It's not just having a good player or two, right? They're dealing with a new system this year. Brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator, and a lot of young players, a lot of talented young players that are going to develop and grow through the program. I think they're going to be fine. I think he's going to be the good coach that he was in 2010. I just think he's got a lot on his plate right now. He's good.
All right, the problem, Will, and listen, you're right. He does get some credit for 2010, and he certainly
doesn't
deserves.
get much, but I think he does.
But he certainly deserves some. He did, even if people say, well, it was Gus Malzahn or it was Cam Newton. Well, Gene Chizik was the head of the program at those times, and he's responsible for bringing. Well, we agree up to a certain point.
Okay.
But he also, unfortunately, gets credit for bringing in a Ted Roof, who, listen, even the year that they won the national championship, their defense was abysmal, right? And it continues to be abysmal. abysmal.
That's
right?
bad?
It's a problem,
Gotcha.
right? So he gets credit not only for the good stuff about 2010, but also some bad things that even were true about 2010. And the problem is that 2010 season is the outlier, right? If you look at everything else that Gene Chizik has done as a head coach, right, whether it's at Iowa State or these other seasons at Auburn, something's not working there, right? He has that one good thing, but in order to back it up, right? This is like a golfer who wins one major and then he disappears, and people never really give him much respect because he doesn't deserve it. He didn't back it up with something else to show, yes, that was deserving.
Reed, let's think about this. Off the air a couple of weeks ago, Barrett Trotter told us that Cam Newton, when he first got there, played a lot like Kyle Frazier is now, without confidence, was missing a lot of passes in the spring games. That's what we're dealing with Kyle Frazier right now. Scaredy cat Kyle. Every play he runs, he's scared. He's afraid to run through the lanes. I'm telling you, this kid has talent. We've all seen it before. He was a 5-star recruit. As soon as they get that turned around, everybody's going to be loving Gene Chizik again.
Well, we'll see. And that's a big if they get that turned around.
Okay.
I think, listen, we made a joke on this show the very first episode of this season, or I did at least, about, Gene Chizik's going to be let go at the end of the season. And that was real funny until this past weekend when I started thinking, yeah, he's probably on his way out after this.
No way.
So, well, listen, if he doesn't turn this around, if he does lose to Louisiana Monroe, if he does lose by 8,900 points to LSU, it's going to be a long, painful season for Gene Chizik.
Maybe we agree on that. Reed, after the break, we're going to head down to Auburn and spend some time with Ric Smith,
who you might know as the stadium announcer at Jordan-Hare.
Reed, you know the famous voices that you hear over the PA at Jordan-Hare Stadium and Bryant-Denny Stadium?
I do know those voices.
Yeah, well, you don't know the faces, though. We're going to go down to Jordan-Hare and visit with Ric Smith. He's the guy you hear down there every game day. His voice booms across the city of Auburn on game days. He's the man behind the mic at Jordan-Hare Stadium, Ric Smith. So did you grow up an Auburn fan?
I did grow up an Auburn fan. In fact, my dad went to Auburn. So when I was a kid, we lived about 30 miles away. And I've been coming to games at Jordan-Hare Stadium as far back as I can remember.
So how did you become the stadium announcer? How did you make that journey to this job?
Well, I had done some work in radio and had actually done some high school announcing for Opelika High School. That led to me working with Auburn baseball, so that was my connection with the athletics department. So Carl Stevens, who had been the stadium announcer for approaching 30 years, retired. And so when he retired, I had the opportunity to step in for him. The first game I ever did was Washington State. First game of the season, huge night game. They had a defensive linebacker whose name was Rapati Patuatoa, which was spelled nothing like it sounds. And so that was quite a start. So I'll always remember Rapati Patuatoa. And he was a very good player, which meant he made a lot of tackles. So I had the chance to
Sounds
say
like
his
a
name
disease.
I was going to say a dirty word.
Yeah.
Cam Newton or Cameron Newton?
It was Cam. It may have been the first game or so he was referred to as Cameron, but he decided, or however it developed, he became Cam.
A lot of people say Scam Newton.
No.
Not around here. No.
We now felt like it was time to put Rick to the test with a game we like to call Last Name Challenge.
Galifianakis sacked on the play. Fumble on the play recovered by Strombolopoulos.
That sounded delicious.
Houellebecq's pass is intercepted.
That sounds good.
Sure.
That's not. Have you wait until you see that one in print, Will? That
Can't
was
wait.
that
Surely
was
not
tough.
correct.
Yeah.
Telo Locano around right in.
All right, and I want to go ahead and skip ahead to my favorite. This, of course, is a character from The Simpsons, is where this name originates from.
This is going to be ugly. Kickoff return for a touchdown by Nahaspim.
That was a good try. That's
Give it your best shot, Reed.
let me see the whole. All right. Kickoff return for a touchdown by Nahasapima Pedalan.
Very nice.
It's Apu's last name.
Apu.
One thing we wanted to see about doing today is maybe to have you announce some of the things that we do. And we thought now that we're here at Jordan-Hare, we could maybe take an opportunity to do some things around the stadium and then get you to sort of announce them. Are you up for that possibly?
Absolutely. Let's do
Okay,
it.
sounds good. Well, let's get to doing some things, Will. We'll send him up to the booth there and get all this announced.
Sounds great.
Climbing the stairs, Will and Reed Lockamy. Stopping to rest, Reed Lockamy. Lockamy pass complete to Lockamy. Lockamy pass complete to Lockamy. Lockamy on the reception. Sitting by himself in the bleachers, Reed Lockamy.
Timeout on the field as Will Lockamy ties his shoe.
Reed Lockamy on to kick the trash can. The kick is blocked. Will Lockamy on the coffee sip. The sip picks up 2 ounces.
All right, guys, here's the PA booth.
Now we just skipped the restroom, but that's okay. All right.
Always before the game starts.
Gotcha.
Always.
So this is your layer here.
This is it. This is my spot here. John Sirico of marketing sits here. My left-hand man, Eric Canada, sits here.
To the left.
To the left. And Richard Stevens is there. He's the scoreboard operator.
This piece of equipment that looks like it's from 1982, that's what runs the scoreboard.
That's what runs the scoreboard.
That is, it's like an Atari of some sort. Huh.
Typically, I start about an hour and a half before kickoff. So there are some announcements, going up until what we call the 1 hour warning. That's the correct Jordan-Hare Stadium time is. Right. And after that point, it really picks up. So really about 90 minutes.
So it's almost 6 hours of just nonstop.
Yeah, it's a big day. The correct Jordan-Hare Stadium time is 12:06. The correct Jordan-Hare Stadium time is 12:07.
Very good.
Nice.
We're working on a clock. And this is the next one here.
The correct Jordan-Hare Stadium time is 12:08.
This is going to be a big money maker for us.
Yeah, almost lunchtime.
How many more?
It's about 713 or so, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
But while his voice takes center stage on game days, Rick says he's just one part of the game day experience.
The sports information staff, is the operations staff, is the marketing staff, is the video crew, who's putting up what we see on the AUHD. So it's a great honor for me to be part of that game day experience. But that game day experience is based on the team effort. It's not based on the guy who happens to be the stadium announcer.
Before we left, there was just one more thing I needed Rick to do.
Will Lockamy is unavailable to answer the phone. Tiger fans are encouraged to leave a message at the beep.
Reed, after spending that much time with Ric Smith, you think you could do a good impression?
Oh, I can give it a shot.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Ric Smith.
Say it like a...
It doesn't sound like I'm not good at that part, but I do think that's the sort of thing he would probably say. I mean, that part was spot on.
Possibly. After the break, we'll go to the top of Vulcan with former Auburn Tiger, Terry Henley.
Oh, I can do an impression of him.
Oh, good.
Hey, I'm Terry Henley.
Reed, it's time for rapid fire questions on the grill, brought to you by Billy's Sports Grill with former Auburn Tiger, Terry Henley. Fire
All
away.
right, here we go. Who's the third best football team in the state right now behind Alabama and Troy?
UAB.
Okay, good answer.
College football playoff, a good idea or a great idea?
Wonderful idea.
There you go.
Most definitely.
Should college football players be paid more than they currently are?
Certainly.
Yeah, most people can agree about that.
Sure. Auburn beat Alabama 2 of the 3 years that you played varsity football. Would you like to take this opportunity to apologize to Alabama?
Not at all.
Okay. Best running back in Auburn history, Bo Jackson or Terry Henley?
Terry Henley, of course.
Naturally,
Good answer. Lower life form, referees or kickers?
Oh, it's got to be referees.
Okay.
Kicker's not really a life form. Who would you like to see Auburn hire as its new head coach next year?
We have a head coach.
Already
year.
they've lined up a new head coach for next year. Terry Henley broke it
We have a head
He's
coach.
on the
yeah.
inside. Should Missouri's uniforms be black and yellow, or should they be pinkle?
Well, they need to get a new design for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the SEC, does it?
No.
Terry's an old man.
There you go.
All right, so let's hop on the elevator.
Let's
Will.
do it.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Iron Bowl Hour to apologize for that mishap there. That's only the third or fourth time that's
On the elevator, that was unfortunate. Yeah. You made it down okay, though.
Yes, but I mean, what is there, 150 steps or something like that?
It's actually 287.
Yeah.
287.
Oh, thank you.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. You'll be getting a Christmas card.
Excellent.
Well, all's well that ends well. Now let's talk about things that are not going to end well. What in the world is going on in Auburn, Terry? What's happening down there?
It's called tackle football.
Is it called tackle football?
And they're not tackling.
Right.
Yes, that's what the problem is right now. They've got to learn how to tackle. In their early age, you're taught one thing. You don't teach them how to run the ball. You don't really teach them how to pass it. That's things that just come in nature. You teach them how to tackle.
Why are they having the tackling issues that they're having down there? I mean, these are talented players that were highly recruited, and you bring in Brian Van Gorder, who's supposed to be one of the best in the country, and still they're not tackling.
You got to want to tackle. You got to want to tackle. That's the number one thing. You've got to want to tackle and have the desire to tackle. Right now, I think these players are still learning what it takes to be a man and play in the SEC and to play against the opponents that they play. Being a high school star and, playing your crosstown rival over here, and he's an accountant now versus a guy that's fixing to go to the NFL that you're trying to bring down, whole different story.
And playing Mississippi State hardly even counts as playing an SEC team.
I used to not even consider Mississippi State being in the same sentence with Auburn.
I still don't.
Yeah, the cowbells have gotten better, though, no doubt about it. Okay, well, let me ask you this, though. With what's going on in Tuscaloosa and how powerful and efficient and effective that program seems to be, realistically speaking, how long do you think Gene Chizik has, if for example, this turns out to be somewhat of a mediocre season, how long do you think before Auburn fans, get a little disgruntled, and next thing you know, the Auburn Jets are heading off to other states? What do you think the future is there?
It would take a Harley Davidson and a co-ed on the back of it to get Gene Chizik out of there. I mean, Gene Chizik is entrenched at Auburn right now. He's got plenty of time. There's nobody but the blogs and the things like that mean nothing has anything to do with all the Gene Chizik's job.
Like
he's doing a wonderful job. Yes, Blob. I can't stand him.
No, who can?
Yeah.
Now, Reed and I, we don't do a ton of research. Most everything we ask is based on rumors and stuff like that. There is a rumor that you're the reason that the Toomer's trees are rolled every win. Is that true?
When I got to Auburn, or when I was even being recruited, and we won't talk how many years ago that was, but anyway, they did a little bit of that. Not anything to the magnitude that it was when I was a senior. When I was a senior, I went on a radio station the 2 weeks prior to us playing Alabama. They asked me, they said, well, we're going up and play the number 2 team in the country. What do you think? I said, well, we're going to go up and beat the number 2 out of them.
You said that on the air.
Number 2.
You said the number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, the number 2 out of them.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
that was witty.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, I thought it was pretty good.
It was, yeah.
Whatever. But anyway, so all during the week, 2 weeks leading up to that, they'd have me back on there, and I have to go around campus, and people say, yeah, Terry's going to beat the number 2 out of them. And then we came back from the ball game, here's the whole town with toilet tissue rolls all in the trees and the paper and everything.
Now, just for the record, is that the Bama punt game?
That's correct.
So here, Alabama, number 2, and realistically, did you actually think you were going to win that game, or what did you?
Listen, you never go into a ball game and you think you're going to lose one.
Well, all right, but what if you're Western Kentucky? Then you know you're going to lose the game going into it, right?
Somebody else, they might have 2 flat tires on their bus and not make it to the game and have to forfeit.
That's a good
you don't
point.
know that.
You can always count on the forfeit.
That's right.
You go fighting
the
meat
game
wads,
is
count on
60
the forfeit,
minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
We spotted Alabama 24. The game is 60 minutes long.
So you called that you're going to win, and sure enough, you did.
Yes.
And so then the trees were rolled pretty sincerely at that point.
From that point on.
And it's been now. So with that history that you've had, what has this been like with everything that's happened with Harvey Updike and the trees in the state that they're in now? What do you have to say about all that?
Well, Harvey Updike to me is a booger-eating moron. I mean, that's about as simple as you can put it.
A lot of people
I mean,
have
this
said
guy
that.
needs to be put away, and he certainly needs to be sterilized and not have any more kids, that can be, turn out to be just like him.
He's running out of Alabama-related names for kids anyway.
Yeah, well, that's probably so. I mean, what would you name the next one?
I'm not sure.
Saban.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saban.
So, I mean,
Section AZ 394 maybe.
I mean, the man's got a serious, sick problem.
It's a sad situation all around.
It's no question about it. The average Alabama football fan is not like that.
Oh.
I mean, they're not like that. Listen, they're faithful to their team. They're great people. I've got many, many Alabama friends, and the players, the ex-players that I communicate with. They're great guys. We've never had arguments or anything on the field. There's never been a scuffle or anything in an Auburn-Alabama game ever. The game has always played hard and clean and things like that. Some of the fans that take it to another level.
And I had started a rumor that they're actually going to put up a Harvey Updike statue that then would be rolled every time there was a victory, but I guess maybe that's not true. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. Terry Henley, thanks so much for joining us. This was a ton of fun. We actually learned something.
Thank y'all,
for the
guys.
first time ever. Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Up next, it's time for the Wickles Pickle Picks of the Week. Well, Reed, as you know, when the Lockamy brothers pick pickles, we pick Wickles.
Yes,
and
we do.
It's indeed time for the Wickles Pickles Picks of the Week.
Okay, now just to refresh everyone's memory about what happened last week, Will, you picked the Alabama game spot on, 35 points, and that was what it was.
Perfect.
So you picked up 0 points there. Good for you.
Thanks.
I had Alabama winning by 40. I was off by 5. And you had Mississippi State winning by 3, and they did that plus some. And I picked Auburn to win by 1 over Mississippi State. After 2 weeks, to make long story short, after 2 weeks, I have 44 points. You have 38. You're currently beating me by 6.
I wish we had more time to I can boast in the glory here. It's the first time I've ever been beating you in anything.
Well, it's not going to last long, Will, because now we have to pick games for this week, and I'm sure I'll be back on top after this. Okay. Will, the first game we have to look at is Alabama versus Arkansas, a game in Fayetteville. How do you see that one turning out?
Going conservative here, I have Alabama by 17.
Okay, I think Alabama's going to win that one. I'm going to go ahead and say by 21.
Okay.
I think that's what's going to happen. Now, Auburn versus La Monroe, we're having to think about this one pretty tough. What do you say about that?
Pretty tricky, right? But I do think Auburn's going to get it together here. I think they have to if they want to save their season at all. I have Auburn by 13 points.
Okay, I think Auburn's going to win, but I'm going to say only by 10.
Viewers, don't forget you can follow the Iron Bowl Hour on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, you can catch our radio show, Oh Brother Radio, every Thursday on Birmingham Mountain Radio. Reed, that's all the time we have this week for the Iron Bowl Hour. I'm Will Lockamy.
And I'm Reed Lockamy.
Roll Eagle, Reed.
And War Tide, Will.
The Iron Bowl Hour is brought to you by Wickles Pickles. Add an exciting new taste to everything from Thanksgiving dinner to Saturday sandwiches. A Wickles Pickle will tickle your taste buds just right. Billy's Sports Grill in Birmingham, located in English Village, Overton Road, and coming soon to Northport. Billy's, come on in and feed your goat. And Vulcan Park and Museum, home to the world's largest cast iron statue. For more information, log on to www.visitvulcan.com.
I'm not actually confident there's a clear answer.
Let's start over because I think I was scratching my nose. Sorry.
Maybe just one clap. 3 claps. Very not helpful. All right. Give the 12 clap.